Hey everyone, let's just dive straight into this explainer. We are looking at an absolutely massive shift in the AI landscape, really tracking from late 2024 through 2026. Basically, businesses are completely moving away from just basic AI integrations to what we call agentic AI. And honestly, the impact on day-to-day operations is, well, it's pretty remarkable to see.
80%. Now, right off the bat, I want to clarify. This isn't some hopeful projection. This was reality by April 2026. A major healthcare provider literally cut their manual nurse intake work by 80% just by using agentic AI. I mean, think about that for a second. That is a massive administrative burden completely lifted off the shoulders of actual human healthcare professionals. It lets them focus entirely on patient care instead of drowning in paperwork. And this kind of efficiency, it's spreading like wildfire across totally different industries. Take a look at this comparison in the financial sector. So they had this notoriously tedious compliance reporting process, super highly regulated, very error-prone. It used to take 2 full days to get through. Now, just 2 hours. That's what happens when you introduce collaborative multi-agent workflows into a business. It just completely rewrites the rules of operational efficiency. Okay, so let's move right into Section 1, the Agentic AI era, looking at its foundation and growth.
To really wrap our heads around how companies pull off these crazy metrics, we kind of have to look at the timeline, because this definitely didn't happen overnight. It was a very deliberate evolution from those early experimental open source concepts. So back in late 2024, the focus was just on the core building blocks, configuring Azure OpenAI, running early workflows with Cerebras. Then by mid-2025, the community was really locking down the practical steps for building agents and actually making these AI crews talk to each other. And fast forward to mid-2026, the whole conversation shifted from basic tutorials to securing massive enterprise SaaS deployments. It's basically a roadmap of how we went from tinkering around to fully trusting the tech. A really crucial milestone here was the Crew AI OSS 1.0 general availability release. This was huge. It provided a true center of gravity for the whole ecosystem. Because before this, developers were kind of all over the place. Instead of everyone having to just patch random tools together to figure out the steps for building agents on their own, this release gave everyone a unified, stable foundation. Suddenly, you could design and deploy multi-AI agent workflows at serious scale.
Which brings us to Section 2, Enterprise Automation Success Stories.
So once that stable foundation was in place, we transitioned incredibly fast from cool tech demos into, well, critical enterprise infrastructure. And the real-world ROI just started pouring in. Beyond that 80% drop in healthcare intake work and fintech's crazy new reporting speeds, we started seeing e-commerce giants fully automating their returns and refunds. I mean, that solves one of the biggest logistical headaches in retail, right there. We also saw mid-tier enterprise SaaS providers completely automating their cloud support triage. These aren't just one-off lucky wins. They represent a fundamental shift in how complex business problems are solved autonomously.
All right, moving on to Section 3, Trust and Agent Security, specifically ensuring safe production. Now, to actually hit those kinds of automation results, we have to face a somewhat counterintuitive reality about security. The very autonomy that makes these agents so powerful, it also makes them a massive liability if you don't handle them right. João Moura, the creator of Crew AI, absolutely hit the nail on the head. He said, AI agents don't fail in production because they lack autonomy. They fail because autonomy without structure is impossible to trust. When you're sitting down and mapping out the steps for building agents, your goal absolutely shouldn't be total freedom. Total freedom is just chaos. Structure, strict guardrails, clearly defined roles. That is exactly what makes an AI agent trustworthy enough to handle your real enterprise operations. And honestly, that philosophy leads directly into a very blunt warning that popped up around mid-2026. Stop giving your agents database credentials. Seriously, a lot of early developers fell right into this trap. They wanted their agents to be able to do everything, so they just handed over raw, unfiltered database access. But let me tell you, giving a generative model a direct pipe into your core business data is the exact opposite of a secure, structured setup. So what's the alternative? Well, a much smarter, safer strategy is this. Build your agents where the data already lives. If we're talking about the fundamental steps for building enterprise-grade agents, this is step 1 for security. You do not pull your sensitive data out to feed it to some external agent, and you definitely don't hand an external agent the keys to your kingdom. Instead, you deploy your structured agent environment directly into the secure silos where your data natively sits. It's brilliant, really. It completely flips the traditional security model on its head, but in the best way possible.
which leads to a bit of a funny paradox in agent architecture. People started saying, agent harnesses are dead. Long live agent harnesses. Now, a harness is basically just the framework that controls and limits how an agent operates. Those clunky restrictive harnesses we used in the early days, yeah, those are completely dead. But modern, highly structured dynamic harnesses, those are absolutely essential now. You simply cannot run these safe enterprise deployments without a modern harness orchestrating how your agents collaborate and access data securely.
Let's wrap up with Section 4, expanding the AI ecosystem as we enter the agent-native era. Look, none of this happens in a vacuum. It requires a massive amount of computing power and deep platform partnerships to actively drive this agent-native transformation forward. Today, we're seeing this robust foundation with Crew AI deeply integrated with Azure OpenAI for Enterprise Cloud, Cerebrus for cutting-edge hardware workflows, and big partnerships with giants like NVIDIA through Crew AI Factory. These aren't just trendy tech buzzwords. We're looking at the actual physical infrastructure you need to build, scale, and actually trust these agentic systems. So the Wild West days of unstructured AI experimentation, those are pretty much over. The enterprises that are really winning today are the ones deploying highly structured, incredibly secure agent crews, which ultimately leaves us with one big question to think about. As autonomy meets structure, what workflow will your first agent transform? I want you to think about the absolute biggest bottlenecks in your daily operations and just imagine what structured autonomy could do for you.